Good morning. It is November 28th, 2021. It is Man Coverage with Knoxville Nate and the coach, RICO McCoy. Wow. Yeah, another big weekend of football. Couple games that did not go the way I'd hoped, but that's the way the ball bounces. Want to get right into it and talk a little bit about the Iron Bowl in the first place. Man, I really didn't think that game would go that way at all. Auburn dominated that game for 4 quarters. They were up 10-0, but it kind of felt to me like they were up 30-0 or 25-0. I mean, it just seemed like they were way far ahead, but a 10-point lead is not going to cut it. And then they just let him come back. And, that one drive, I know me and you talked about it a lot, that looked to me like a couple intentional grounding plays that they didn't even shake a stick at him. But, I knew once it went into overtime that it was not looking good for Auburn. I mean, their chance to win was in regulation, in my opinion. They had them. 1 minute, 35 seconds, 99 yards, no timeouts, and they went down and scored. So, whoa. What did you think about that one, Coach?
That was a heck of a ball game. Auburn came out with a great game plan.
Yeah.
It was just aggressive, physical football. And I always tell people the rankings and records go out the window when Rivalry Week. None of that stuff matters. I think those guys deserve a round of applause. They played ball. They played ball. They came out there and gave it everything that they had. They left nothing in the tank. But like you said, you can't go to overtime with a better ball team. And that's what it comes down to. The better team most times will win if you take it to OT. And I kind of feel like you go for the dagger early too, even in OT. You don't go for an extra point. You don't go for an extra point. You go for the winner right then and there, because you're not going to have many more opportunities. Because let's face it, you weren't supposed to be in this situation.
I'm with you. I'm with you. When they scored to Alabama started it off with a touchdown, and then Auburn actually scored, which I didn't think they were going to do, but TJ Finley threw a nice pass. Yep. They got a touchdown, and I was like, man, they should go for 2 right now.
Yep.
And that first overtime.
Go for 2, and if you lose, you lost going for the win. Which is more impressive than just getting basically outlasted by one of the best teams in the country. I'll give kudos to Tank Bigsby. I like him. He's a legit NFL back.
Yeah.
That defense was playing lights out. The D coordinator was sending them. I like it. And, they took ownership of the line of scrimmage. I think one of the reasons, of course, losing Jamison early hurt Alabama's offensive flow. No question about it. We got to see how important he is to Alabama's dynamic offense. So losing him was huge. And then you lose Brian Robinson, who's also a big-time playmaker for you. And the running game was hurt. Once he left the field, there was nothing you could do. You saw it on 3rd and 3, and then a 4th and short. What's my running back's name? Number 6, Trey Sanders.
Trey Sanders, yeah.
Listen, man, and I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but he just didn't have that same juice or impact on the game that Brian Robinson demands. So he fell short on the 3rd down, then he fell short on the 4th down, and man, Alabama was struggling. You lose Jamison, you lose Brian Robinson, and you got a different ball game. But the one thing that was shown was that my guy has ice water in his veins.
Yeah.
That quarterback probably had one of the worst games of his career, going into the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
And you did not see him sweat, did you?
No.
Listen, he was sacked,
6 times.
6 times? It's crazy. Listen, and they had pressure on him. They had pressure on him the entire game.
No, I'm sorry. 7 times. 7 times.
No. That's my point. And guess what? He still remained calm. He still remained poised. And you throw the game winner. That's my guy right there. I'm telling you, he's the best quarterback in college football to me. Even though he struggled, he remained calm, and he finished that ball game with a W.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was not his best outing, but you know what? He could have easily let that get to him.
Yep, and folded.
And let that cause them to lose that game, being down 10 points in the fourth quarter. But the way that he stays so calm, cool, and collected and compartmentalized and kept going on, that was pretty impressive. And I couldn't believe that he, didn't let it was like those first four quarters, first 3.5 quarters never happened. And he kept it going. And especially without his top wide receiver and his top running back, the way that he kept it going and was able to bring home the victory was pretty impressive. But it had to have been just a nightmare for Auburn football fans. I know that this is the game. They could have probably looked past some of these other losses throughout the year, only having 6 wins when, they probably thought that they were going to have a pretty good season with Bo Nix as their quarterback and him being back and having a lot of other guys back. They probably expected this year to go a lot different. And, I think they could have dealt with it if they could have gotten that win. So I know there's a lot of heartbreak in Auburn today, but as me and Rico have mentioned many times, neither one of us are big Auburn fans, so we're okay with that. I think with them going down. So pretty crazy game, but I got to be honest, and I want to get Rico's take on this. I'm not a big fan of the new overtime rules. I just all that action, all that game, and then it comes down to a 2-point conversion contest. I don't know, man. You tell me, Rico. I don't really like it.
It disrupted the flow of the game for me.
Yeah.
I'm watching it, and I didn't like it not one bit. It's like, I don't know. It's childish. It's this game is so intense, and there's so much on the line, and we're down here just going for 2-point conversions. I think it needs to change. I hated watching it.
I don't like it. I got to be honest, man. I've always kind of enjoyed the college 2-point, the college, overtime format with the starting at the 25 and going in, and then the other team gets a chance, and then that team, gets to go again. I mean, I didn't really see a problem with it, and I'm not quite sure why they felt the need to change it. And I don't know. They said it was to, the whole. Yeah, they said that the games were going too long, but then that Penn State Illinois game went into 9 overtime. So there goes that theory. I don't know. I just didn't really like it. And this was the first time that I've really seen it in a big time game. And I dislike it even more.
The Iron Bowl.
Yeah, listen, the Iron Bowl comes down to a 2-point conversion contest.
I'm watching it, Nate, and I was sharing the same thoughts that you have. I was thinking this thing is more luck than anything at this point.
Yeah. Well, and I thought, too, that it kind of swung back into Auburn's wheelhouse because, man, all they got to do is get a 2-point conversion.
One
play.
They don't
have to score from the 25.
One play.
Yeah. I'm like, anyone could win that. Just depends how many good 2-point conversion plays you got, So
yeah, just like their first, what was it? Their second overtime play. That was it a lineman screen or a tight end screen?
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, if you got a couple of those in your back pocket, man, you can win and take that away. But I don't really see I didn't see the problem with the format to begin with, and I really do not like the change. So hopefully somebody else out there feels the same way we do, and they can fix that, because that sucked to me. I did not like that at all. But no one cares what I think. So we'll see what happens. Looks like we got our guest is with us. We've got a coach with us. I'm going to let Rico introduce him. We're going to bring him in now, if that's cool with you, Coach.
Oh, sounds good. Bring him on in.
All right, here we go.
Hey.
What's happening, man? How you doing?
All right, y'all. We got Coach Vernon Hargreaves here, longtime ball coach, a real OG. Hey, look, I was this close to going to Miami to play for
I'm
Coach.
still mad at you about that, dog. You owe me one, man. I thought I did a great job recruiting you. I thought it was a wrap.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, thanks for joining us. It's my co-host Knoxville, Nate, right here. We're excited to have you on, Coach.
You guys doing okay?
Yeah, we're pretty good.
Good. You guys had a good Thanksgiving and all that. Good holiday.
Oh yeah. We're still we're still feeling the effects of all the food at this point, but we got to watch some football too. So we are good.
It was a heck of a day yesterday, wasn't it?
It was crazy, but I loved every minute of it, Coach.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It was a little different sitting home at the couch going through it as opposed to being on the sideline, but you still kind of feel it a little bit, you know?
Oh, for sure, especially with as many years as you have in the game coaching. And look, while we're at it, we were just talking about that overtime, the new overtime format.
I saw that, yeah.
What do you think of it, Coach?
You know what? I mean, it comes down to one play, like you guys were saying. I mean, and then you know how many of those plays do you practice? How many of those do you actually have in your bag? You know what I'm saying? And I guess teams have to. You got to have a few of them ready for sure. And then, like you guys were talking about with the Illinois and Penn State game, how many times it went, and the whole idea was to, not have guys play as much. It does kind of eliminate that because it becomes one play, but one play. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it either. You know what I'm saying? Just watching it after the first, after the first normal, quote unquote, normal overtime, and then just a 2-point deal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because now it just comes down to, one guy makes a play, one guy slips or whatever it is, and who knows what happened. And it was a shame for Auburn. They played hard the whole game, man.
They played a game
defensively. Holy smokes, man! They got after him. I hadn't seen anybody get after him. Coach Mason's really good, and he's always been good. But he had a nice game plan and all that kind of good stuff. I wish he would have come after him a little bit more right at the end, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he kind of laid back a little bit, and he had been coming after him, and that was working really good. And then sometimes you want to change it up, and I get it. But boy, oh boy, that one, and then watching the LSU game as well. Watching LSU and listening to those guys coming back and getting that one for Coach O. So that was big time.
Yeah, that was cool. No, and Coach, I think the same thing as you were just saying. 7 sacks against Alabama like that was pretty impressive, and it seemed like they couldn't stop, the pass rush all day long. Yeah. And then, like you said, in the fourth quarter and even in overtime, they kind of went back and tried to play coverage. And it looked to me like at times the defensive line, the linebackers, they didn't know what the call was. And Alabama was kind of doing they were changing up pace. They were going fast, but it looked like the Auburn guys were confused. And sometimes the ball was being snapped and the linemen were still standing up, looking at the sideline for the call. And it seemed to me like I would have just maybe called a timeout, maybe kept the pressure going. But like you said, changing it up is sometimes the theory. But it just kind of seemed to me like they were a little bit confused going at the end. What did you think about that?
Well, I mean, I guess as I sat there and watched it, I mean, they're obviously their package is what it is. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what all that entails, but I don't know. I think they had a nice matchup on the left side. The dude, he still ain't blocked them. You know what I'm saying? So there was some good stuff going on there. But I don't know, man. You do what you do, and if they would have stopped him, everything would have been good, right? Right. It would have been a great changeup, right? So it is what it is. You go about what you do, and you make your call, and you live with it, and hopefully the kids can make a play for you. So yeah.
For sure. Now, look, Coach, going back to recruiting, we got a history. That's how we connected, and still you still mentor, big guy to me. Question for you: what's the biggest difference now, man? That was 15 years ago. Recruiting now, I know you're up in DC at Howard. What's the biggest difference now as far as recruiting game? How much has that changed? I mean, you've been doing this thing since, early 90s. And what's the biggest difference for you, Coach? I know it's pretty much year round now.
Yeah. I mean, it starts earlier, starts way earlier than it used to. I mean, I didn't get to you until you were probably your junior year and senior year. These guys are being recruited from their freshman year all the way up through. That's probably one of the biggest changes that I've seen, just where it all starts. And then obviously, with social media and everything, everybody knows what everybody else is doing. Everybody knows who else is getting recruited by this guy or that guy or whatever it is. At the end of the day, it still kind of comes down to relationships. I mean, that part hasn't changed, I don't think. And so now it's and what happens is with today's climate and the way coaches are in and out, guys will start a relationship and be at one school and keep that relationship going on to another school because they just got fired or whatever it is, and the head coach got fired. They'll keep that relationship over at the next place and some of those types of things. But yeah, I just think the time frame in which they're getting started. I mean, nowadays, I mean, you got to recruit. You almost got to recruit guys for yourself because you don't know where you're going to be. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could be over, and I just saw something yesterday. 11 of 14 guys were less than like 3 years wherever they were at. So if I start the process and you're a sophomore, I mean, how the chances of me getting to you as a senior, you know what I'm saying? You coming to my place is like the place. At least I shouldn't say coming to my place. Coming to the place where I am, I might be able to still recruit you if I'm at a, I don't know, if I'm at a, I was at Missouri and then I was at Arkansas. So if I'm at Missouri and I'm recruiting you and you're that kind of guy, and something happens and I end up at Arkansas, I can still recruit you because I can probably, it's still the SEC,
right?
But now if I go from Missouri to Howard, that probably ain't gonna happen. So that kind of, you know what I'm saying? And but the relationships at the end of the day, and there's we've had some kids, we've gotten in on some kids that are now at Howard that are high end guys, and some of those are guys that once they did sign said, oh yeah, I would have taken a look at an HBCU if you guys would have recruited me. Okay, all right, we're gonna try it. We're gonna see what happens.
Right.
And at the end of the day, when it comes down to nut cutting time, you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so, but yeah, I think just the whole time frame in terms of when it gets started, man. And the thing is, man, I mean, there's kids that are gonna be really good. Going from their junior to senior year, and you don't really kind of know about them because you've been focused on this other guy. And when we were at Miami, man, we took some guys that were probably not the 5-star guys and all that, but they just had a ton of upside, and you can see that coming. And I think that's the thing that sometimes when you get lost and get enamored with the stars and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, some of those stars are okay, but I'm gonna let my eyes do it. I'm gonna believe my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Believe what I see and see on tape, and then obviously the numbers are a factor. For guys, a 5'11" linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Well, I want to get the 6'2" guy. Well, let me tell you something. All the guys I had at Miami, they're all right around 6 foot, 6'1", and I tried to get one from over in DC, but he didn't want to come. But anyway, we'll leave that one alone. I'm gonna let that lie.
Let it be.
That's the last time. I apologize. That's the last time. Hey. All right.
I tried to get him. I still ask him why he didn't go to Ohio State, man. We wanted to have him in Columbus too. So he stunned us all on the signing day, I guess.
You gotta fix your Wikipedia too, man, because it says you chose Tennessee over Ohio State, Syracuse, and somebody else. You don't even have Miami on there, man. You better call the Wikipedia.
We better do some fact checking.
Hey, that's funny. I didn't do it. But that was my 3 for sure, man. The U, Ohio State, and Tennessee. Yeah. So look, Coach, all in all, does that translate to more work for you or about the same or just different style of work, this recruiting thing for you?
Well, I think it's depending on where you are, it can be more, obviously, just because you're starting earlier and then you got to keep everybody you got to remember where everybody's at. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors coming in, all that kind of good stuff. And then you got guys that are committing that when they're sophomores or whatever it is. So now you got to hold on for 2 years.
Right.
And you see all these guys decommit right at the end. They committed a year ago, and then they get to their senior year and they decommit. And, probably in a lot of situations, they probably that their school, that the team that they committed to probably signed somebody else or got a commitment from somebody else. So they're like, you know what? Okay, bet I ain't going there because I see that you already got you're getting this guy, you're recruiting that guy. So, I mean, it's just so if I get a commitment from a linebacker and he's a sophomore, and then 2 years later or a year later somebody else shows up and is really good and he wants to come and he commits to me. So what's going to happen with that guy? You know, with the other guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just trying to figure it all out these days is nuts, man. I don't know. I mean, because you never know what a guy's going to be. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to tell what a guy's going to be 3 years down the road. That's the hardest part I have with it right now. But the problem is you got to do it, because if you're at that level and you're not doing that and you're not in it with them from the beginning,
right,
you're probably not going to have much of a shot at the end unless you were just absolutely his dream school and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, I think it's gotten a little bit tougher for sure.
Well, and like you were saying, Coach, it's you never know where coaches are going to be at these days just because of the patience factor. It seems to me like people pull the trigger quicker and quicker every year, and something that really bothers me, just being into coaching and playing football as long as I did, the firing coaches in the middle of the season. I don't see the benefit of that. We saw it at LSU, we saw it at USC, and it's something that really bothers me. And I just think it makes no sense. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on, why schools feel the need to do that. And do you see any benefit to that at all from a coaching perspective?
No, well, obviously, it can go both ways with the morale of the team, certainly, you know what I'm saying, depending on how it's done and when it's done. Obviously, you see what happened with LSU and how they finished, you know what I'm saying? They everybody wanted, I mean, Coach O's a heck of a guy, and they all wanted to play for him and those types of things. And it's interesting. It's interesting how that happens. A guy gets fired and the team comes back and they start playing better. I mean, why come you wasn't playing better earlier? Right. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have got fired. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So I don't, that's the part that kind of gets me a little bit with all that. But just the administration's, these days, and it looks like and sounds like, okay, I'm going to get rid of this guy because I got somebody in the wings or whatever it is, and all you've simply done is help these other guys get better deals wherever they are. Now you got to go turn around and figure out, okay, bet the one that I thought I was going to get, we're going to get him. So now what are we going to do? All right, we got to get this other guy or whatever it is, and it may not be the one that you wanted. So now you got to settle for somebody else, and then 2 years later, now you're looking for somebody else again. Well, it's to me, it's all just the whole microwave society. Everybody wants everything right now. You know what I'm saying? And then the other piece of it is, back in the day, the administration, the ADs and the presidents or whatever, they didn't get all that immediate feedback in terms of, what's going on with the program. If a team loses or whatever it is, the AD and the actual coach used to actually sit down and they'd have conversations. The AD wasn't sitting on his phone looking at us and seeing all his donors saying, hey, this guy stinks. We need to get rid of this dude. If not, I'm pulling my money, all that kind of good stuff. He wasn't seeing all that. He had to pick the phone up and talk to somebody. And if he didn't want to hear it, he could just leave the phone there. He didn't have to hear it. But now it's plastered everywhere. Gotcha. And so you feel like, I guess I would suspect they got to do, they feel like they got to do something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But it's just, it's hard these days, man. There'll never be another, I shouldn't say never, but there'll never be like another Bobby Bowden and or Paterno have been in place for 25 years. And just think, those two guys that I just mentioned, if you go back and look at the beginning of their careers, if they were coaching right now, they wouldn't have made it. Yeah, they wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have made it out of the first 5 years. I mean, in the first 5 years, they would have been done. You know what I mean? The first 5 years of those guys, those type of coaches, their first 5 years, it was just building, man, and getting the thing going and getting it to where it's supposed to be, or where they felt like it needed to be. And then from there, once the base was established, and everybody talks about culture and all that kind of good stuff, once all that was established, then you go ahead and get it going. But these days, I mean, nobody's got patience for that kind of a build. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I need to have it now. I need to get you going now. And then on top of that, now you got the pressure to recruit. And so guys are doing whatever they got to do to get, 5-star Johnny, you know what I'm saying? And so now you get other stuff happening, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, and that kind of goes back to the first topic we were talking about. So, yeah, it's crazy, man.
All right. Well, look, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. I just got one more question for the road for you, okay? We're coming up on championship season, right?
Okay.
And you being part of conference championship, national championship. Tell me what that culture is like for a championship team, whether it's conference or national championship. What's that culture, practice-wise, game preparation, your leaders on the team? What's a championship look like to you?
Well, I think most of those teams, and you've heard all the guys, all the top guys, whether it's at Coach Saban or Coach Day at Ohio State, a lot of those guys, most of those teams are player-driven, number one.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about what they're doing, how they're doing it, because they hold each other accountable. You know what I'm saying? And they're I know with some of the teams that I've been around, I mean, that's what it was. I mean, you got a guy like Ed Reed who was running the show, and obviously you see he's in the Hall of Fame and all that, but we didn't have to. All we had to do was make sure they got on the plane and make sure they got on the bus. That's all we had to do. You know what I mean? I hate to say that, but that's the reality. And so those teams that have always had success, or that are going to have success, they bought in. And more than anything, I think are probably the fact that they're player driven, and everybody is accountable to each other. And to me, that's the biggest deal. And everybody tries to get that. Everybody tries to kind of emulate that, because when it gets tough, let me tell you something. 85% of the teams in America in that Alabama-Auburn game would have folded.
Yeah.
Because they were coming after them. It was nuts. And they had never been through, and they hadn't been through anything like that. They're so resilient, and that thing is so ingrained in terms of, how they, go about their business, their culture, or whatever it is. At Alabama, they're able to fight through it. And like, that's why Coach is so fired up, because that just shows you that whole thing is still enduring. And it has endured, you know what I'm saying, over the years. And to be able to get that ain't easy, because if it was easy, everybody would have it and everybody would do it and all that kind of stuff. But once you hopefully get that established, and you recruit the right kind of guys that you need, or that you want, or that buy into that, and that's got to be established early. Hey, this is the way it's going to be. This is how you're going to do stuff. This is how we're going to do stuff. Are you with that or not? Because if you're not, I don't care if you're 5-star, 4, whatever you are. You know what I'm saying? If you're not into that, then you're not going to survive here. This is not going to be the place for you. So that's what they've been able to do, and hats off to them. That's been the thing. But yeah, I think it's player driven, man, and
that's the most important thing right there. Would you agree, Pete, about? I mean, player driven teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's not talked about enough. I mean, you can have a heck of a ball coach, but if you don't have guys holding guys accountable,
that's it.
Go but so far.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And I watched Oklahoma State last night.
Yeah.
And I watched them against Oklahoma, and they talked about the guys that, there's not a lot of 5-star guys on their defense, but they've bought in, they've played together for 3 years, and they play for each other, you know what I'm saying, which is huge. I talked about that with our guys down at Howard, trying to figure that out. How do you get to that? Well, part of it is getting to know guys, you know what I'm saying? I think one of the things that's happening right now is that everybody's on their phone. I wanted to pick my phone up, but I'm on it. But everybody's doing this, right? Mm-hmm. So nobody's communicating. Nobody kind of knows who Johnny is, or anything, and not who he is, but what he's all about. What has he gone through? What's some of the stuff behind the scenes that nobody knows? You know what I'm saying? And the more you get to know that stuff and understand that, hey, he's going through the same thing that I am. So we're on the same page as far as that part's concerned. Once you start to get that, and everybody kind of gets to know each other, and it's like, man, oh man, okay, bet we're going through the same thing. I feel better about, you know, putting it on the line for you because I know you're going through the same stuff I'm going through. So I get it. You know what I mean? So if you can get your team to kind of come together that way and figure each other out and know what everybody else is all about, now you got something, man. Now you got guys that are literally and actually playing for each other. So again, I mean, I can't speak enough to that being a big deal.
Yeah.
Cool. Noted.
It's pretty amazing what he's done down there in Alabama. Yeah. I mean, I know he gets a lot of credit, but he has coaches filtering in and out. He's got players going to the NFL every year, and he just keeps that machine rolling, doesn't he, Coach?
Well, it's no different with the coaches.
Yeah,
coaches come in, they got to. This is the way it's going to be, and this is how you need to do it. And if you don't want to do it that way, then you know what, it's probably the best place for you. So, it looks like it, and it seems like it's permeated throughout the whole system, so to speak, or the whole deal. So, I mean, it's a lot of places would have folded, man. A lot of places would not been able to stand, you know, what was going on there because it was going the other way. And I've been on both sides of it. Trust me. Yeah. When you're beating the dog out of somebody and they can't hold up, and it's like you see them quit. You know what I'm saying? You can watch them quit. But these guys, they're built different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're totally built. They're built totally different. So it was interesting to watch because I was waiting for them to crack. Yeah, it never cracked. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just kept on grinding. So it was that was fun to watch, and that's why he's so excited. How many times you see him smiling after a game?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? I mean,
it's the same face, isn't it?
Yeah. This one, he was like, man, he's fired up about this win because of that more than anything else. It ain't about winning the game. It's about that whole culture, enduring and being able to fight through that thing. That's a big deal, man. Yeah. And from our standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, man, if you can get that and you can get your guys to play at that kind of level and not worry about, you know, you talk about, I'm sorry for going over, but you talk about, you know, putting your head down and just grinding and not looking at the scoreboard and just doing your thing and just doing it as good as you can. And then eventually you look up and everything is what it should be. That's exactly what you saw there.
Yeah.
It was a case of kind of like everything, all your hard work paying off, all your discipline, all your structure, and you getting to see it come to fruition.
Absolutely.
A ball game that it looks like you're supposed to lose, you're being dominated, and you can watch that film. You never saw guys pointing, arguing. That's when you know that you got those guys believing in themselves. And like you said, you ingrained in them fight to the finish, with warrior spirit.
Right.
Those guys didn't argue not one time. Nate, on a drop pass, you didn't see the quarterback.
Yep.
How many times you see the quarterback do this on Saturdays?
Yeah.
None of that.
Didn't see it once.
Yeah, man. So it's a championship mindset that those guys have. It's a mindset, and it's I guess it translates into a way of life because they weren't on script right there. And that's who they are now.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Seems to translate to the next level as well, because those guys seem to show up on Sundays across the league. So
they do.
Absolutely.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate you so much coming on with us, and hopefully we can have you back on down the road if you'll come back and see us.
Absolutely, man. Just let me know. Give me a holler. I appreciate you guys having me, man.
All right, Coach.
Have a good rest of the day.
Take
it. All right, take care now.
That was legendary Coach Vernon Hargreaves Jr. We didn't even mention the man's got his son in the NFL playing for the Bengals too, balling out. So he's coached ballers. He's had kids that are ballers. He's been doing it for a long time. And now he's on the staff. We didn't even mention he's on the staff at Howard with Larry Scott, who used to be here in Knoxville and coached at Florida with Dan Mullen and was at Miami for a while. So hopefully they'll get that thing rolling down there as well. But a lot of great points.
I think they will, Nate. I think that it's a bunch of talent up there in the DMV.
Yeah.
That's a historical program up there. And I think they'll get it going. Coach Scott, he's proven what he can do. He's been through the ranks. Coach Hargreaves been through it. I mean, Arkansas, Missouri, Miami, national championships, multiple conference championships. And then I know a bunch of viewers were probably thinking that name's familiar. Like you said, his son, first round draft pick, right? Out of Florida.
Out of Florida.
A couple years ago. So, that football runs through his family, runs through his veins. And I'm happy that he came on the show. Nate, but we've been in contact, man, for years, man. Even though I didn't go to the University of Miami, we kept in contact, and he was always a straight shooter, man. So it was good to have him on the show.
No, I thought that was really cool. He provides a really good perspective, and I loved hearing his thoughts on recruiting and also about the coaching staff at Alabama and the way Nick Saban does things and all that. I thought that was really cool. So I'm glad he came on. We've been having some guests now. I ain't patting ourselves on the back here, but Coach Falmer, Coach Hargreaves, the MVP of the national championship game, Tyvis Powell, Baron Browning.
Come on.
I mean, man, we've been having some guests. So I hope all our viewers have been enjoying it, because we've been enjoying talking to them. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about was something that Coach mentioned there at the end, and that was the Bedlam craziness that went on at Oklahoma State. And I want to go ahead and throw out my player of the week, because it was from this game. Linebacker. I finally get to talk about a defensive player.
Let's go.
Malcolm Rodriguez,
okay,
from Oklahoma State. 11 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, a pass defense, and won the game on the last play, tackling the quarterback to create the win. And as time expired, I got to be honest, man. Oklahoma State's been known for years for that pass happy, high flying, high scoring offense. Things have changed around there, man. Oklahoma State is a defensive football team that can also, put points on the board, in my opinion.
They showed up. They're playing good football. I mean, but they're never really playing bad football. Look at their head coach. He's a guy. He's a player's coach. He loves his guys. I mean, his famous rant says it all.
Yeah. I'm 40.
I'm a man. Come at me. And I like Coach. And his team showed up and played a heck of a ball game. They played a pretty high-profile offense in Oklahoma, and they stuck with them the whole way and came out with the W, man. And it doesn't shock me, though.
No, they're a good team. And Coach Gundy, he's always been like right there on the cusp of taking his team to the promised land. And, maybe this year's the year. He's got that quarterback who may not be, they've had Brandon Whedon and all those guys that can sling it. And this guy can throw it, but he can also run it now. He had 16 carries for 93 yards on the ground yesterday, and wasn't scared to tuck it and run if he had to. And it was just seems like a guy that's willing to do whatever it takes to win the game.
He's going to extend the play. When you're mobile, I mean, and that's the difference from having your pocket passer, gunslinger, and that, his offenses over the years, to now a guy who can extend the play a little bit when guys are locked up, because the guys on the other side are pretty good athletes too. They're on scholarship too. Now you got a QB who can create a buy low time, can extend the drive, getting the first down here or there. And I mean, that's what came out to put them over the edge. So, Coach put a game plan together and they executed.
They did. And that, that defense deserves a lot of the credit, because Caleb Williams never quit. And that was something that I really impressed me from your boy from the DC area. He never stopped. And even when they were down, you could see it in his face. He still believed they could win. And up until the end, he was giving it his all and doing everything he could. That kid's going to be around for a while.
Nate, would you agree that yesterday was some pretty good QB play?
Yeah.
Across the board.
Across the board. And I think a lot of these kids have grown up. Even we'll get to it here in a second, but even the kid from Ohio State, he's really started to, get more mature and more consistent. Yesterday wasn't his best game, but he played all right. And then this kid from from Oklahoma in this game we're talking about right now. I mean, he was 20 of 39 for 252 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only accounted for 36 yards rushing, but that's because there was some sacks. He had some good runs too, especially that run at the end of the game.
Oh, it was great.
Oh my God, dude! they were all back in the. I was like, okay, man, they got great coverage. Then I looked and I'm like, but they're in man.
Make a play.
Nobody's looking back.
Go
and
make a play.
Took off 54 yards later. I'm like, dude, that guy's got some wheels. So he gave Oklahoma a shot. And with that coach and that system, this kid's got a chance to be a real winner and something special in Oklahoma.
But Nate, what was my quarterback's name for Auburn? Finley?
TJ Finley.
Listen, TJ Finley, check him out. I mean,
yeah, he had a good game.
He played football.
Yeah.
Came against Alabama now. He wasn't just playing Vanderbilt or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Playing Alabama, and he made very few mistakes, Nate. Quarterback showed up yesterday, and we can go ahead and talk about I'm a unit of the week, and it's going to hurt your feelings a little bit, but you know who it is.
The Michigan offensive line?
No. So their offensive line did go to work, but that defensive line ate. They ate yesterday.
Man, that kid, both those defensive
ends were monsters.
They're legit, man, and we might as well go ahead and talk about it since we're here. I was kind of hoping we could slide through the show without even mentioning it, because yesterday was a tough day for me. But you know what? These kids played so hard and we lost, but everything was kind of not going our way. I mean, the Buckeyes, you beat somebody for 10 years straight, and they keep clawing and they keep fighting and they keep building their program. Eventually, the pressure starts to build. And I really felt like this whole year, it was more about like, don't lose instead of let's go win. And I just kind of felt like that all season long. It's just like you're kind of scared of losing instead of excited about winning. And yesterday when I was watching the pregame show and it started to snow so bad that you started seeing the snow particles stick to Brady Quinn's hair. His hair didn't move, but it started accumulating some snow on it. And I'm like, man, this ain't real good for our passing game.
Right.
And Michigan showed up, man. They played a great game. They had a really good game plan.
They did.
And this is what we talked about all year. The gap has not widened. The gap has shrunk between these top teams and these next level teams. Because if you look, Michigan had 3 or 4 guys, if you count the tight end, 4 guys that were either seniors or graduate players and 6-year guys. Whereas, the Buckeyes are playing freshmen. Yeah. And it showed because it looked like the more experienced team was wearing blue.
Yeah, they showed up. And I'm going to tell you what else happened. They exposed your backers. Yes. Yeah. They exposed your backers, your run defense, because listen to me, like you said, that old line was moving those guys. Those backs were running hard. Your backers really didn't want that smoke yesterday. I'm going to just call it for what it is. They didn't want to hit that 220 pounds every play.
No.
And they took it back to smash mouth football, and that is the best way to demoralize or break a defense, Nate. It is to run it right down their throat, okay?
Oh, yeah. They knew it was coming.
And there's nothing you can do about it. That's the quickest way to get somebody to tap out. Or, hey, look, fake an injury. You got to be a tough dude to stick in there and put your head in there every time, knowing that you're not about to stop it. And that's what Harbaugh came in there and did, and the defense was aggressive. Those 2 defensive ends took control of the game. They wouldn't let Ohio State get comfortable back there. And like you said, the young guy he still played a good game to me. It's just that, gosh, they made it hard for him. They made it very hard. They kept pressure on him. They were changing up coverages. They were playing aggressive, physical, fast football. And on offense, it was just smash mouth, Nate. Yeah. And you know what? You might catch a couple touchdown passes by design, or somebody gets beat running through my zone. That doesn't demoralize a guy unless you're just back to back to back. But somebody getting 8 yards of carry.
Yeah.
will have your guys quitting.
Yeah, and you made a very good point with the linebackers. I mean, let's be brutally honest. I'm going to be brutally honest about the Buckeyes. Everyone knows they're my team. Our best linebacker is a guy that's been playing linebacker for 6 months, number 22, Steel Chambers. He was a running back for 3 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we converted him to linebacker this season in the fall. And he's the best linebacker we got. So, that's not good. That's a problem when your best linebacker has been playing linebacker for 6 months. And nothing against these other guys, but at times they just look like they didn't know what they were doing. They get lined up in the wrong spot.
Wouldn't pull the trigger. You see, go hit it.
Go get it. Yeah, they're just tentative, and they weren't playing aggressive. And this defense has been a problem all year. And it showed up against Oregon. It looked bad week 1 against Minnesota. And, it's just been an issue we've known about all year long, and we've just kind of been hiding it because we could score so fast. And yesterday we didn't score quite as fast because we kept getting false starts.
Yep.
I think they had 6 false starts and 4 holding calls, all at crucial times. And then we had a couple drops on top of that. And you can't do that. You can't give up almost 300 yards rushing and then go backwards on offense and expect to win.
Nope, not the recipe for success.
No, it was sad. I was disappointed, but you know what? At the same time, I'm not one of these idiot Buckeye fans that when we lose one game, I'm ready to call the season a failure. And start calling out the coaches and all that. I don't do that. These guys have had a tremendous season. We've won 10 games. We've got a chance to go 11-2 if we can win the ball game. That's not a failure in my mind, Coach.
Not at all. I mean, and what's Michigan's record now?
Michigan is 11-1.
I mean, and as much as you hate them and as much as you're a rival, you got to respect for what it is. They
got a good team this year, and they've got a lot of experienced players that have been around that program for a long time.
Yep.
And they finally put it together. And, kudos to them. It made me want to throw up, but they had a good game plan and they executed it. And like I said, everything kind of was going in their way. There was a lot of pressure on us to win. They had pressure too, but they were in their house. It was snowing like crazy, and they loved it. They're like, man, snow as much as you want. We'll run the ball like we've done all year.
Yeah.
So
it was a perfect storm.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm. Let's talk about something else.
Look, let's get on this South Carolina Clemson game.
Yeah, let's talk about that because we've been talking about South Carolina a lot this year. I've been pretty impressed with what they've done, and Clemson's kind of we haven't really talked a ton about Clemson because they've been going the other direction, and they finally have been putting it together these last they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row, and shut out the Gamecocks yesterday.
Putting it together, winning ball games. They're not Clemson. Of course, they won't be Clemson of a couple years ago, but South
Carolina. How do you win 30-0 and not even throw for 100 yards?
That's what I'm telling you. It's not, and I saw the two young backs that they were using, and they gain yards. And I wasn't a huge fan of them. I don't think they're great backs. They're not close to a Travis Etienne.
No,
I don't think they have the receivers like a T. Higgins, a Powell, Amari Rodgers. They don't have guys of that caliber right now, and I just expected more from South Carolina, to be honest.
I did too.
I didn't like it. I didn't like that game at all, man. This was the time to beat Dabo and get them one back in their win column, and they let it slip away.
Yeah.
I didn't like the play calling. I didn't. There was no. They couldn't get in the rhythm.
No.
I don't think that South Carolina is just always misses recruiting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think guys have to be developed at the quarterback position or make that offense easier for them to understand, because right now they look too bad for me, man. And I can't put that on a kid. When I see a kid playing at this high of a level and you look awful, I got to look a little deeper. I got to look at who's coaching you. What's the scheme? Are you understanding this offense? And that's what it comes down to, man. Simplify it for these guys and let them play. Because you can't tell me what I witnessed. They had the worst quarterbacks on the field yesterday.
Yeah.
Of all the games that I watched.
And they played two of them.
I'm telling you, they had the worst quarterbacks on the field.
They played two different guys, and it didn't really seem to matter which one was out there. It just did not look good. And like you said, I kind of expected this game to be pretty close because
Clemson is not dominant.
South Carolina's been on the uptick, and, this is not a normal year for Dabo since he's been there at Clemson. So I kind of expected maybe, hey, the Clemson may go down again. Maybe South Carolina can get back the battle of the Palmetto State, but it did not go like that. And it was kind of disappointing on that front as well. Every team I was cheering for lost yesterday. It was disgusting.
Listen, don't get it twisted, everybody, but I'm not an Alabama fan, but I do like watching them play.
Yeah.
I do like watching them play in the playoffs, and I don't see another team being more fit for that, for that top four. So I couldn't have Ohio State and Alabama lose yesterday, Nate. And I know you were thinking the opposite. You wanted all the big dogs to lose. Because
after we lost, I was like, man, okay, well, we lost. Alabama's going to lose. I was like, I'm cool with that. We lose. Bama loses, all good. But they, of course, didn't lose. And
found a way to win.
They kept their eyes on the prize.
Found a way to win. That's what winners do. And of course, we skipped over Georgia, but Georgia took care of business.
Yeah.
Just as expected. They whooped Georgia Tech. And all right, so what are you thinking? What do you think about this Georgia-Bama matchup?
Man, I got to tell you, that's what I wanted to do was kind of preview next week real quick. I know we're up against it. We got about 7-8 minutes left. So we got a little time. So I wanted to talk just for a second about next week. It's going to be pretty interesting. We got some matchups going on. Georgia-Bama, probably the biggest game.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, I think if I had to pick somebody right now, I'd probably pick Bama, just because
of this game.
Their defense. I mean, after all we've been talking about and all the things that happened yesterday, and as well as Finley was playing and as well as Auburn was playing, it's fourth quarter. They only got 10 points.
True.
So don't tell me that the Bama defense ain't what they used to be. Will Anderson's as good as any Alabama defensive player I've seen in the last 10 or 15 years.
For sure. I agree.
So don't tell me they don't have the superstars. Will Anderson Jr. is one of the best players I've ever seen in a Bama uniform. So he's a damn superstar. The back end may not be as talented as they have been, but they got a bunch of young guys, and they'll be fine. And I'm picking Bama because I think they'll be able to score, and I think they'll be able to stop that Georgia run game. I mean, you stop Georgia from running the football. I mean, what are they going to do? Stetson going to pick you apart?
Did you see? Now, I agree with you, but for another reason. This game is more valuable than people realize. Winning an Iron Bowl in overtime, when I say these guys have the mindset to go all the way now, they're tuned up.
Yeah.
Being so close to it being taken away puts everybody back on that championship hunt mentally. These guys are locked in even more than before right now. So I think that's what's going to get them over the edge. But the whole stopping the run game completely, I don't know. Tank Bigsby looked pretty good out there. And he didn't run crazy, but he was still impressive. And but he's also a really good running back. So, but I'm curious to see how this game turns out. I'll be locked in. But I think that this thing will benefit them having played this overtime game already. Come on, Nate. Yeah. They're ready for a big game. And Georgia has pretty much flown through everybody.
Yeah, they haven't really played anybody that scared them. And so I think, like you said, I think this game right here yesterday gives Alabama a wake-up call. It gives them a tune-up, and it gets them prepared for, not starting off slow, not coming out of the gates lackadaisical. I mean, I think they're going to be ready to play.
I think so too.
And that's why I'm picking them. And then we got a couple other games too. Michigan and Iowa, kind of a weird situation with, everybody was thinking Wisconsin was going to be in the coming from the West in the Big Ten, and they got beat yesterday by Minnesota, which puts Iowa into the championship game. I do not think Iowa's got enough to beat Michigan the way they're playing. I don't know what you think, but I think Michigan's going to roll in that one.
I think you'll be sick.
Yeah.
You're going to be sick after that game. Because
I've never cheered for Iowa in my life, but I will be cheering for the Hawkeyes on that day. But I don't think they can get it done. And then I don't see it. And then, we got to talk a little bit about Houston and Cincinnati. I mean, Houston is 11-1, and they've gotten no credit all year long. They're ranked 24th, even though they're 11-1. They've got a chance to make some headlines by beating the Bearcats. So I think that game might be better than people are giving it credit for.
I don't even want to see it. I don't want them to play spoilers. I mean, they can win a championship, but I want to see Cincinnati get their shot to play with the big boys.
I do too.
I think they deserve it, and I don't think they have something to prove. I don't think they lose this game. Luke Fickell will have them in the right headspace. They'll go in there and take care of business. I did get to watch Houston play, was it Memphis a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
And, they're a pretty good team, but I don't think they're on the same level as Cincinnati.
Well, yeah, and, Cincinnati gets to play it at home, which I thought was kind of weird. I guess they don't have like a big-time
site,
like Atlanta or, the game that's in I think it's in Charlotte. It was where they play the ACC, and they're playing the American Athletic Conference championship game at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati. So I think that gives a lot of that'll hold a lot of weight for the Bearcats.
Home field advantage.
Yeah, that'll be nice. But we got to talk just for a second too about the Big 12 and Oklahoma State winning yesterday. That puts them at 11-1. If they can win the Big 12 championship, I think you got to give them a shot at making the Final Four.
Hold on now. So what happens? Who's in? Let's say Alabama wins, Michigan wins, Cincinnati wins,
Oklahoma State wins. Yeah, it gets real confusing if that all happens. I mean, you would think if Bama wins that Georgia still gets in.
That's what I'm thinking.
Based on their season. I mean, you're not going to shut out Georgia if they lose this one game. I mean, in the conference championship on a neutral site. I still think Georgia gets in. So that's when it gets really complicated and it gets really confusing. Is if Bama wins, there's going to be some teams left out.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is. I don't know if Oklahoma State gets shafted. I don't know if the Bearcats get shafted. But I think it'd be a real shame if the Bearcats go undefeated and they don't even get a look.
I agree. But dang, if Oklahoma State wins this championship, that's a pretty impressive season and a Big 12 conference champ, one loss.
Yeah.
Hey, look, they're gonna feel disrespected.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt.
Who's up for the ACC championship?
That is going to be Pittsburgh versus Wake Forest. 10-2 versus 10-2.
I'm going with Pitt, and they're cute.
Yeah, I am too. I like Kenny Pickett. I mean, Wake Forest has had a good season, and they've got a pretty good offense, but I don't see their defense being able to stop Pittsburgh's attack.
I don't either. I remember watching them play Tennessee, and I was thinking, oh, my goodness, we're in trouble this year. But then I kept following Pitt, and I was like, no, people are in trouble playing Pitt this year.
Yeah.
Pitt's I
thought they were really in trouble after the week after that. Pitt lost to Western Michigan, and I was like, oh, my goodness, they beat Tennessee, and then they lost to Western. I'm like, man, this is just crazy. But after that, they picked it up and beat Clemson and had a really good season. And that quarterback played really well. And, we got to give some shout outs to Coach Aranda at Baylor, going 2-7 last year. And he's brought them all the way back to 10-2 in the Big 12 championship. That's a huge, huge turnaround. And that's why, even a couple of weeks ago, I had him as my number one guy to potentially go to USC. I hope he stays at Baylor, but I got to think he's looking pretty attractive to some of those big schools.
Yeah, he may do what James Franklin did and use them to use them to get him an extension and some more money, because that's what he did.
Yeah, well, James Franklin got him 10 years and $75 million, and our boy Mel Tucker got 10 years and $95 million. Those boys are staying put, so you can go ahead and pull their names out. And Lincoln Riley said he's staying at Oklahoma yesterday. I'm sure they'll give him a bump.
He'll get an extension, but I'm telling you, I think that's the only reason Franklin even entertained that USC thing. Is like if Penn State realizes that USC wants me and they're gonna open up the checkbook, because he does. Who wants to leave something that you put so many building blocks down for? Your foundation set. You got the law of the land as far as recruiting.
Yeah,
like, stop it, Nate. You don't want to go to USC for real.
No, especially the way they've been performing. I mean, USC's been struggling, and there's a lot of talent still that comes out of California. It's just most of it goes to the SEC or to Ohio State.
Yep.
So, whoever takes that job,
receivers going to Ohio State, receivers and QBs.
Yeah, both our quarterback and our receivers,
Yep.
are from Texas and California, respectively. So, whoever takes that job is going to have to keep the people in state. But Coach Pittman, too, we've been talking a lot about him this year. They got another victory yesterday and beat Mizzou, doubled them up 34-17, and finished the year 8-4. And that's very impressive, man. If you think about Coach Bellama and what he did at Arkansas, which was nothing, the guy won like 2 games in 3-4 years, and Coach Pittman came in there and just turned that culture around in 2 years. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, coach is getting them right down there. You can tell he's got them playing football. They're gonna do nothing but get better.
I think so, and that's just another team in the West that people are going to have to contend with. So it doesn't get any easier there. But awesome show. Love talking to Coach Hargreaves. Dude's got a lot of knowledge in football, and that was cool for him to share it with us today.
We appreciate that, Coach.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it today. It was a good one, Nate.
Yep, I did too, and I look forward to getting with you next week, and we'll break down all these conference championship games and get ready for the playoff.
Sounds good to me. Take care of yourself.
All right, have a good Sunday, all right?
You too, Nate.
All right, buddy.